what if our whole idea of, importance, what if it's just fundamentally backwards? Like all the things we're constantly chasing, the career wins, the status, that relentless push for productivity. What if it's all just a kind of cultural hypnosis, blinding us maybe to what really matters?
That's a really powerful way to put it. And yeah, that's exactly what we're diving into today. Welcome, everyone.
So we're exploring this framework, the Psychedelic Thought Architect.
That's the one. It comes from the source material we looked at.
Okay, that name, it definitely pulls you in.
Ah.
Before we jump right in, what is this framework? Like, how does it work?
It's essentially a metaphor, right? Think of it as a structured way to kind of rewire how you perceive value.
Okay.
It's called psychedelic, not because, substances are involved, but because the goal is to help you see beyond the usual limits, like expanding your view of reality.
Ah, I see. So it's about the effect, not the method.
Exactly. It's about systematically stripping away all that societal conditioning, the shoulds, and reconnecting with what feels intrinsically meaningful, seeing the hidden architecture of significance, if you will.
So we're kind of simulating that expanded consciousness state, but without the actual psychedelics.
Precisely. We're aiming for those beneficial neural connections, that clarity, but through this structured thought process to get to those deeper insights.
I love that idea, peeling back layers, getting to something more authentic about what's truly important. But why do we get it so wrong so often?
Yeah.
Why pour energy into things that feel major, but then later just seem like noise?
That really is the core puzzle, isn't it? And this framework offers, well, a pretty unique way to look at it. We're going on a journey, basically, through 4 phases: conceptual dissolution, then neural cross connections, followed by pattern recognition, and finally, crystallized insight.
Right. Each step building on the last.
Exactly, guiding us deeper into how meaning actually works.
Perfect. So everyone listening, get comfortable, take a breath, maybe close your eyes if you're somewhere you can do that safely. Let's start this journey. First up, conceptual dissolution. Sounds intense, but you're saying it's not about chaos.
Not at all. It's more like a gentle melting away of false boundaries, specifically that really rigid black and white thinking we do. This is important, this is unimportant.
Like putting things in neat little boxes.
Right, and the source uses this great analogy, trying to understand a river by freezing it solid.
You lose the flow.
The life.
Exactly. It's very nature. And that's what happens with harsh categories. The source argues that most of what we call important, career stuff, status, possessions, it often doesn't come from deep inside us.
It's external.
Yeah, it's programmed in. By cultural consensus, ideas repeated so often by society, media, even well-meaning people around us, until they just feel like natural laws.
Yeah.
Unquestionable. And this is where it gets, well, really eye-opening for me. While we're busy chasing those external things, the stuff we dismiss, like real rest or just being kind for no reason, being present, even just that simple feeling of being alive.
Yeah, those things.
They don't have market value, right? They don't boost your LinkedIn profile. They're not in the quarterly reports. So they become almost invisible culturally.
And yet, significance isn't static, is it? It's not fixed. The framework really stresses this. It's emergent, context-dependent, like a hologram, shifting as you look at it differently.
I like that. A hologram.
Think about it yourself. What felt absolutely monumental at 25, maybe a specific job or hitting some financial target.
Oh, definitely.
How does that feel at 45? Maybe less central. Or maybe that quiet hobby you ignored back then is suddenly foundational in your 60s.
Yeah, that really resonates. Things shift perspective completely.
So the framework pushes us here. Was the thing itself truly insignificant? Or was it the story we told about it, the meaning we assigned, the cultural lens we were using?
Oof. Okay, that hits hard. Thinking about, that rushed call with my grandmother because emails felt important.
Right. Or the sunset you missed because you were planning a meeting.
Or yeah, that nice chat with a stranger you just mentally filed away as like nothing. Small talk.
So the psychedelic thought architect asks this really radical thing. What if those moments, the chat, the sunset, the connection, what if those were the real signals?
Yeah.
And all the other stuff? Just noise.
Wow. That's a huge reevaluation. Questioning the whole signal-to-noise ratio of my life.
It's profound, isn't it? And that leads us nicely into the next phase.
Okay, which is neural cross-connections. This sounds like where we bring in ideas from different places.
Exactly. We start seeing how patterns from, say, nature, art, philosophy, even science, can all point towards these deeper truths about what matters. Let's take mycorrhizal networks in forests.
The underground fungi networks.
Yes. It's incredible. Most of a tree's vital stuff isn't happening up where we see it. It's underground. These complex fungal threads connecting trees, sharing nutrients, communicating.
Quietly running the whole show underneath.
Precisely. Sustaining the entire ecosystem, unseen. And the insight for us. It's a perfect mirror for human significance. The most nourishing stuff in your life probably isn't the stuff getting posted online.
Right. It's the quiet moments,
Yeah.
the subtle care, the invisible support between people who really connect.
Exactly. It challenges that whole idea that value is only in the visible, the grand gestures.
And sticking with that hidden structure idea, what about negative space in art?
Oh, great example. Think of M.C. Escher or those Japanese ink paintings. The empty space, the unimportant bits, they actually define the whole picture.
Take it away, and the subject disappears.
Right. The unimportant becomes essential. It makes everything else possible. It shows how absence can create presence.
That feels very zen.
It connects directly. That ancient wisdom, the way that can be named is not the true way. When we're desperately trying to label what's important, nail it down, we often miss what simply is.
We miss the aliveness that's just there.
Yeah.
Usually not very dramatic.
Exactly. Finding truth in the undefined.
It's amazing how this pattern shows up everywhere. Even, you mentioned thermodynamics.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Energy often hides in what looks like chaos, like entropy. Value might be lurking in what feels totally directionless. Think about Brownian motion.
The random jiggling of particles.
Right. Looks random, meaningless even. But that seemingly directionless movement is fundamental to life processes. It's a reminder that potential can exist in apparent chaos.
Okay, so bringing this back to us. Those things we dismiss, like taking a nap when we should be working.
Or just being silent when we feel pressure to network. Or being present without an agenda.
Yeah, things that don't have an immediate payoff.
Exactly. No instant ROI. But the source suggests they are incredibly nutrient-rich long-term. A stranger's smile shifting your day.
Totally had that happen.
Or a nap sparking a creative solution. Or stillness revealing what you actually want beneath the shoulds. These are the deep roots.
So when we step back for pattern recognition, a big picture emerges.
It becomes crystal clear, doesn't it? Across all these different fields, philosophy, ecology, neuroscience, art, the same theme keeps popping up.
Which is?
That perceived insignificance is often just a side effect of our own systemic blindness. We're just not seeing the whole picture.
And this ties into our culture's values.
Massively. Our culture tends to overvalue what's visible and measurable, things you can quantify, monetize, post about, put on a CV.
It gets all the attention, all the praise.
Right. And this creates what the framework calls an inverted value system. The truly essential stuff for human flourishing, connection, rest, wonder becomes invisible. Or even actively devalued, like, why are you resting? You should be hustling.
Yeah, I feel that pressure. And you mentioned time reveals these patterns.
Time is the great revealer, absolutely.
Yeah.
What seemed trivial, like that 5-minute daily meditation.
Felt unproductive at first.
Right. But over time, it was quietly building your capacity for presence. Or those long walks where you felt you accomplished nothing.
They were actually processing time, integrating things.
Exactly. Allowing wisdom to emerge naturally. Time shows the true weight of the seemingly weightless moments.
It's like the psyche or nature, hiding the important stuff underground.
Beautifully put, like the roots supporting the flower. They're not flashy, but they're essential. And our overlooked values, rest, play, connection, wonder they're doing the same thing. Quietly holding up our lives while we focus on the visible achievements.
And neuroscience backs this up, the doing nothing part.
It does. The brain's default mode network, DMN. It's most active when you're not focused on a task, just letting your mind wander.
Mind wandering is good.
It's crucial. That's where integration happens, where creative connections spark. What looks like idleness is often where breakthroughs form, because your brain isn't constrained by a specific goal.
Okay, so here's the big question for everyone listening, maybe for myself too. How much of our anxiety, that feeling of emptiness, like something's missing, how much of that comes from chasing those loud, culturally amplified signals, while ignoring the quieter signals from our own inner compass, our soul-level compass, as the source puts it?
That's the crux of it. When you start honoring what genuinely nourishes you, listening to what wants to emerge organically.
Instead of forcing what you think should be there.
Exactly. Everything starts to shift, not towards passivity, but towards alignment. Aligning with the deeper patterns that actually support life and growth, building from the roots up.
Which brings us to the final phase, crystallized insight. pulling it all together.
Right. Weaving all these threads, the core insight crystallizes. What you thought was so important might have just been noise, cultural static.
And what you dismissed
Yeah.
might have been the real signal, the soul-level guidance.
And if you're feeling a bit disoriented right now, maybe a whisper of, oh man, have I been doing it wrong?
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
That's not failure. It's not regret. The framework calls it a graduation. Your internal compass is rewiring, recalibrating towards something more organic, more truthful. It's growth.
Okay, I like framing it as graduation.
Yeah.
So practically, what does this mean for making decisions now?
It means you have a powerful new filter. Instead of asking, what should I do? Or what looks good? Or what's the next rung on the ladder?
Yeah, the usual questions.
You ask deeper ones like, does this nourish something alive in me or in others?
Nourish something alive.
Or is this still important if nobody sees me do it? If there's zero external reward?
That's a tough one.
And maybe the most powerful. Would I still choose this if my time was limited and my ego was quiet?
Wow, those cut through a lot of the noise.
They're practical tools, really, for navigating a world that's constantly shouting about what matters. They help you distinguish what's truly life-giving from what's just programming.
So a new mantra, maybe. What the world whispers over, I will listen to loudly.
That's beautiful, because often those uncelebrated qualities, just being present, really listening, moving slowly, responding to what's actually here instead of the plan.
The things that don't get applause.
They might be your greatest gifts, to yourself and to others.
And again, this isn't about being passive.
Not at all. It's about alignment, a deeper kind. Discerning what wants to emerge through you, from your authentic core, instead of forcing what you think should be there based on external ideas. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything.
Okay, so an invitation for everyone listening for the next week.
Yeah, try this. Pay close attention. What do you naturally gravitate towards when no one's watching? What genuinely lights you up inside, not what you think should?
And notice the moments you feel most alive. Most yourself.
Exactly. Treat these observations like data, valuable data about your actual core values underneath the cultural conditioning. Use it as a new compass.
Remember, everyone, you're not optimizing a machine. You're nurturing a living system.
Trust what wants to emerge.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, just notice what feels different in your body, your awareness, your sense of what matters.
The invitation isn't to throw everything out, but maybe hold it all a bit more lightly.
Make space for what's been waiting in the margins, quietly, patiently.
You're exactly where you need to be to hear what's been trying to reach you. Trust that deeper knowing. It's intelligent.